Welcome to Feeling Asian, a podcast where two Asians talk about their feelings. I'm Youngmi Mayer.
And I'm Brian Park. And we have a great episode for you all this week.
I feel like, Brian, I don't know if this is true. I feel like this person is making you nervous because this is up Brian's alley.
This person's making me nervous. This person, see, listeners, you already know who this person is because you know how to read. And, you know, for a long time on this podcast, we treat it like a secret, but if you can just read podcast titles, you know exactly who this person is. No, I'm nervous because I would say in high school, I definitely had, I had an interest in fashion. I had big fashion dreams. I was like, damn, it'd be sick if I got to work at GQ. But
wow,
yeah, you know, this is me being vulnerable here up top. But you know what, Young, I think we should just go right ahead and introduce this person that I'm incredibly nervous to introduce.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Listeners, we have this week on the podcast an editor for GQ magazine. Give your ears for Yang Yi Ko.
How's it going? Was this all a ploy just so that you could pitch me some stories for the magazine? Because
yeah,
we can make that happen
yes.
if you really want to.
Well, 100%.
Brian's,
100%.
Yeah, he's trying to get a job. He's sick of the podcast world. He's ready for GQ.
Yep. Just the classic podcaster to media fashion elite pipeline.
Mm-hmm. You know? Happens all the time.
Yep.
It actually does happen more than you think.
Probably. Yeah, there's who was it? The Red Scare one of the hosts of Red Scare is on Succession now. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Really? Like as an actor?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As an actor,
it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Right. Yep. So, yeah.
Well,
okay.
we're gonna, sorry, I'm like trying to. So yeah, we have so many things to talk to you about today. I have a really funny thing that I don't think we sent to. Oh, I did. Okay. We have a really funny segment. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the email. I'm really excited to do, and I think the listeners will think it's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess before we get to that and your interview, Brian, how are you feeling?
I am feeling overall very good vibes this week. So, few things happened. I know I've already talked about it at length, but we had our live show, which was fucking sick. We sold it the fuck out, and it was a great show. And then I'm also happy because I recently reconnected with one of my childhood best friends who I haven't spoken to in over 10 years.
Wow.
He was visiting New York and he hit me up. Yeah.
Cool.
And it was great. It was so wonderful. And it left me, I'm really bad about keeping in touch with friends. And I definitely want to, be more cognizant and conscientious about it going forward because it's always great to do that. I don't know why I put up so many mental roadblocks to prevent myself from reaching out and reconnecting with people. So I felt really good about that. And I've been watching a lot of the Winter Olympics. And
oh no. I mean, I don't know why I said that.
Why did you say what?
I hate the Olympics. I feel like the Olympics are like some sort of. The Olympics are weird. Okay, I feel like their time is done.
Hard disagree.
I love the Asian people doing great on the Olympics. That's amazing.
Asian Americans are fucking killing it in the Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
it's so great to see. Shout out to Eileen Gu, Chloe Kim, Nathan Chen. It's fucking sick.
Chloe
I love
Kim.
it.
I've been a fan of her for so long. No, I'm very proud of them, but I just think the Olympics in general are just kind of weird, I don't know. That might be.
I'm sorry. Just seeing peak athletic performance does that make me a bad person for enjoying it?
I see it from both sides. Yeah.
You do?
I get it. Yeah,
I see it from both sides.
I'm a huge sports fan, and I do enjoy watching the Olympics. It's really fun to get into weird sports you otherwise would never watch, like biathlon, I think, which is the one where you ski and shoot arrows at the same time. Or shoot guns? Is it shoot 100%. Guns? I think it's shoot guns. Yeah. Just weird stuff like that. Cool curling. Sport. I become a really big curling fan every 4 years. But at the same time,
skeleton now.
Yeah, there have been studies that prove that the Olympics are usually economically terrible for the host cities.
Yes.
Afterwards, you spend all this money to create all this infrastructure, and then it just decimates the city afterwards, where you don't use it. You have these like massive, stadiums and swimming pool arenas and all these things that just like sit empty, and
tons of labor exploitation
that too.
happens
Yes,
to
exactly.
make these things happen.
I bet.
But in spite of it all, I'm loving the Olympics.
No, I love watching sports. I was like that sport that you talked about, like when they're like skiing and shooting guns. I'm like, you're like, wow, that's a weird sport, but also that was like our entire history before like 20,000 years ago. It's like,
Right.
It was 300,000 years of us doing that, and now it's like a funny sport. But I think my issue with it is like it's like a big, like weird. What do you even call it? A corporation, and it's like very. But wasn't there like some sort of like a news story about how it was like very like corrupt?
Oh yeah, the IOC is
Right.
extremely
Yeah.
corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's tons of corruption.
In all sports,
But I guess
really.
it's everything. So
Yeah.
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 A little corruption as a treat never hurt anyone.
we can't.
I still
we
stand
can't
by
get away
it.
from the corruption.
Fully support
yeah.
the Olympics.
Yeah, everything I do, I'm always like, oh, it's so corrupt, and then I shop at like Amazon every day. Like, what am I talking about?
Right.
Like-
It was like Willie Nelson taking a stand against Spotify and Joe Rogan and taking his talents over to
No, it was
Amazon
Neil
Music.
Young.
Neil Young.
Neil Young, Neil Young, famous for sleeping with children. Like, who the fuck is Neil Young to say
Wait,
anything? I don't
is that a
Wait,
thing?
what? Is that a
Yeah,
thing?
there's this apparently. No, it's like it's in a book. I think it was
What?
God, it was like somebody like this from Sonic Youth, like the lead singer. I think her book. She talks about how she met Neil Young, and I really hope that that's the right band. And she was like, oh, here's this like good guy, this hippy dippy guy, and then she like went on like tour with him, and it was just like a bunch of 15-year-olds that he was fucking, and she was like,
What?
oh wait, this is still a man, and she talks about how it like really like broke her spirit, because she was like, this is a good guy, but then you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
man, that's
that doesn't
shocking.
exist. He's still a rock and roll star.
Yeah.
In the
You know,
fucking 90s,
breaking news
you know?
here on Feeling Asian podcast.
Yeah.
Breaking.
We just
We
canceled
get some
Neil Young
hard-hitting
5
stuff.
minutes into this podcast. That's insane.
Neil Young is a man, apparently. He's just a man. But
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, so that's how I'm feeling this week. Lots of positive vibes and and some Neil Young cancel material sprinkled in there at the tail end of that. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling, Youngmi. How are you feeling?
I just want to mention something about that. I am like, I know that the internet is very like, everyone's canceled. You're bad and you're good, blah, blah, blah. But I'm so, like, I feel like everyone is fucked up. So, like, no offense to Neil Young fans out there. Like, you know what I mean? There's nobody out there that's like a perfect person. And even the Joe Rogan thing, like, I'm like, yeah, Joe Rogan sucks. Like, I'm not a big fan of him, but I don't think he's like a bad person. Like, I think he's a totally sweet, normal person, like whatever. And it's just he's in the public eye, and of course he's not perfect. And I don't want to be out here like, I'm better than him or blah blah blah. Right? I just want to make sure we don't lose the Joe.
I just want to make a disclaimer that if Youngmi Mayer gets canceled, I am my own human. Please just evaluate me accordingly.
You know what I mean? Like, I know how to take.
Yeah,
I know
I
the
know.
internet's very rough. It's very like binary, but I know that people can, whatever. We can do good and bad things and exist at the same time. I get it. I'm feeling, yeah.
Sorry, for the record, Youngmi, I think you're better than Joe Rogan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
Until there's like a super cut that comes out of me saying something really racist, and you're gonna be like, I was never friends with her.
Yeah.
I always thought she was weird.
I'm gonna get an email from Yang like, hey, do you mind pulling down that episode?
How am I feeling? I'm in a good mood today. So this is gonna come out probably in a while, but right now we're recording in February, and it's this one day that's like sunny, and it feels like it's April. It's like, I think it's in the 50s, and I know we still have a bunch of winter left, but it's like, this always happens to me living in New York, I think, when winter starts to end. Even though this is just like a global warming fluke day, I'm like, oh, like soon spring is actually going to come. And I feel like every year I forget, right?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, and then it always catches me by surprise. And I'm like, oh, this is not always going to be like this, which is, I think it's like a great life lesson, when things are shitty, you can't really It's like depression, I guess. It's like you're like, this is it. This is my life forever. And then you're like, oh, wait, no, it's not. So the weather is making me realize that. So I'm in a good mood.
Time to dust off that sundress. The streets are back, baby.
The streets are opening up, baby. Time to dust off that sundress. And I don't even know. I'm doing stand-up this week, and I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see, I guess. And I'm just like excited for the future. I don't know, Brian.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah,
we're getting an optimistic version of you
for once. No, the weather is really doing a number on like how I feel, and I feel like, the older I get, the more I realize that. Also, speaking of getting old, I am so achy these days. Like when I wake up, every day I wake up, I feel like I've been hit by a fucking truck. Does anyone, like, I don't know how old everyone is, but I'm 37 and I'm like, ugh, like it feels like I'm like, ugh, like rolling off of like the infirmary bed or something.
Oh yeah,
Rough.
I get that 100%. I think as soon as I turn 30, just like my body will just break apart for no reason. And it just is what it is. It's like, okay, my eye is twitching uncontrollably for what has been 3 weeks now. Like, I guess that's just how my body is going to be from now on. And it is what it is.
I'm so confused. I'm like, what did I do? Why am I sore? But then also I hate it when people are like, oh, you're in your 30s, you're old. Because I don't think being in your 30s is old.
Okay, so
I don't
literally
think
what
you're
I
old
just
until
did
like
right now.
50. No, I mean, I did it too. But I'm saying,
Yeah.
because, you look at, like, I was just like, when you look at pictures of like celebrities and stuff, right, that were famous in the 70s, and then you see them in their 30s, they look exactly the same. They don't look old until they're like 50. They look the same until then. So I think it's ridiculous to be like, oh, we're old. But also, it hurts when I get out of bed in the morning. So how are you feeling, Young?
I'm feeling good. Yeah. I mentioned to you guys before we started recording that I was in LA earlier this week, which was pleasant, very nice. The weather was great, so I think I'm partially responsible for bringing the sunshine back to New York with me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jan.
You're most welcome.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I'm feeling great. It's been a busy couple of weeks for me, but things are starting to look like I'm going to have a little more time to myself in the next little bit, which is good. So. Yeah.
That's
nice.
so awesome.
I know. I think it is 100% you, Young, because
it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that. I like
the optimism and the hope is palpable through the Zoom screen right now.
Yeah. I have
just FYI, Feeling Asian podcast normally doesn't start off this upbeat and cheery.
No, it does not.
I bring a polite Canadian energy with me everywhere I go. So yeah.
Yes, the Canadian vibe, good vibes. I fully believe that.
Mm-hmm. It's like it's that healthy free healthcare glow.
Yeah, it's the deep-seated understanding that even if you get sick, you're not gonna go bankrupt.
That's right. It really does help. I recommend trying at some point.
It's a security that Americans just don't have.
I guess I mentioned this briefly up top. Like I've had an interest in fashion, like since I was like in middle school and in high school, and I remember being teased a lot, like for being interested in fashion. And I'm curious, like, were you interested in it from a young age, and like, did you experience something similar where people called into question your like quote unquote masculinity for being interested in it, and like how has that sort of evolved over time for you?
Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely have been interested in it for a long time. I think like you, I started, reading magazines like GQ or Esquire and websites like Hypebeast when I was like in middle school, high school, and that really turned me on to style. I think like I'm sure that I got teased here and there for my interest in it, but really like it was I think it was like seen by a lot of my peers as like cool that I chose to express myself in clothes in a different way, and pretty quickly late in high school and in college, like I became that friend that you turn to, like, hey, Young, like I need to buy a new suit, like where should I go get that? I need an outfit for this first date, like what should I wear? And it like yeah, it became a helpful thing in some ways for a lot of people. I think there's like a pretty funny story about like my interest in fashion. Like I played on the rugby team in high school, and we went on this on this team trip to Scotland to play against a bunch of other high schools out there. And we had this one day off in Glasgow where we were kind of allowed to roam around and shop or do whatever you wanted. And we came back, our whole team came back at the end of the day to the hotel, and we were all sharing like, oh, what'd you guys buy? And one by one, all these dudes in my team were like, oh, I got a Scottish rugby jersey. And you're like, oh, I got a Scottish rugby jersey. And then they came around to me, and they're like, Young, what did you get? And I was like, I got a custom monogrammed Tattersall dress shirt made from this tailor that I found around the corner. And everyone was like, what the hell? Like, what's wrong with this guy? But, you know, like, yeah, that's still a shirt that I have and wear. And like, I don't know how many of those dudes are still rocking their Scottish rugby jerseys from 2006 or whatever. So yeah.
But you're meanwhile, you're still rocking your custom monogram Tattersall.
That's right.
Shirt.
You had the
Let's
eye.
go.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear these two experiences, like from you and Brian, you know, and like I really like hearing it because, you know, even like when I ask questions and interact with people, I'm coming from my perspective, and it's like really nice to hear like, no, this was my experience. It's totally different than what you thought. And like, I never did have an issue, and my community never thought it was weird. So yeah, it's really interesting. How have people been responding to the like how GQ has changed recently?
Yeah, I think I think you can probably predict like what some of the responses are. I think a lot of people on the internet have been very like excited and and encouraged by, you know, some of the moves that the magazine has been making. I'm sure like, you know, like anything, there are a great number of trolls that would prefer that, you know, GQ went back to being a little broier or having a more, you know, like very specific, rigid suits and ties image. But I think, yeah, for the most part, like, you know, our audience continues to grow and you know, I think the people that love GQ like love it even more because we have been, you know, really trying to push things forward.
Yeah. I mean, I've also noticed that shift because even like interacting with your social media content, you will feature more articles about, you know, like unisex fashion or more gender fluid styles. But I think that's just more representative of the cultural conversation surrounding masculinity and how even we have celebrities now, it's not that uncommon for them to wear like dresses. And
absolutely.
Like maybe if it was like in the 90s, it was probably only like, I don't know, David Bowie, and it was like a huge statement, you know? Yeah. But, you know, on this podcast, Youngmei and I, we often joke about how Asians have the best fashion drip. And Young, we want to know, is this a sentiment that is shared at the GQ headquarters?
Well, I can't speak for all of GQ, but I will say that personally, I do definitely share that sentiment. I think totally. I think, you know, if you just look at the legacy of great Asian fashion designers from like Yohji Yamamoto to you know, Izzy Miyake to Jun Takahashi, and then, you know, there's like a lot of newer, younger Asian American designers that are absolutely killing it right now, like Sandy Liang, and there's a label in LA called Good Fight that's run by a quartet of Asian Americans that's incredible. I think Asians have long defined, you know, like, you know, this essence of cool in fashion, and a lot of Asian people that I, you know, that I interact with and that I know and love, like, all do have very distinct, very specific points of view and senses of style. So
I think that like there's like, of course that's like a generalization because I know of so many other people that are not Asian that have cool style, but I think there is definitely like a touch of that. And I'm always like, you know, like when you have a friend and you like invite them to dinner, you never have to worry about your Asian friends. They're not going to come in like cargo shorts and embarrass you. Like,
right, they'll come correct for sure. Yeah,
like, we're going to dinner. We're going to go to Carbone, and they're going to get it, and they're going to show up prepared. I feel like
there'll be a sense of
That's all I'm going to say.
For sure.
That.
Yeah. And I just remember even in my undergrad experience, it was always the Asian international students who would just come and like decked out for 8 a.m. biochem lecture. Just
Nice.
yeah, that's my inspiration.
Yeah, they have no other mode. They just go hard all of the time, right? Like, yeah, absolutely.
No mode. They own zero sweatpants.
No, they're Balenciaga sweatpants if they are. It's like that the international college student to the Korean mom going to H Mart pipeline where she's wearing like stilettos and like has
For real.
lipstick on and is like wearing an evening gown. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, that's a
never
vibe.
underdressed.
Yeah. And like another interesting observation, and this is just speaking for like men's fashion wear, like menswear designers. In America, there's like Americana style, which is, Levi's jeans and like kind of cowboy like imagery.
Right.
But even in Japan, there's so many labels that specialize in that. And I would argue they do it even better than America.
True.
themselves.
Yeah. No, that's such a
So I
wonderful
just found
thing.
that interesting.
That's such a wonderful thing about Japanese culture, right? Is that they are obsessive in some ways, right? And when they latch onto something, when they find an interest in something, when a small community over there has an interest in it, they're so obsessive to the point that you're right. That's why some of the best denim in the world still comes from Japan, because when they fell in love with vintage Levi's jeans and American jeans from the early 20th century, they bought up all of the machines to make that denim and brought it over to Japan. And so the denim you get in Japan is still made the same way that a pair of like hard-wearing Levi's would have been in like the 50s or 60s. That's why, they just take something that here we view as utilitarian and elevate it to like this level of art that you don't really find anywhere else in the world, which is kind of amazing. So
I wish I could buy Japanese denim. Every time I go there and I try to like buy pants, there is no room for the butt. Not saying anything, but the butt doesn't fit.
I can help you find some stuff. I think there's some Japanese jeans out there that have like really sick wide legs that I'm super into. So yeah, we can hook you up for sure. Yeah,
I love that. Yes.
Help. But I guess our next question for you is, what are the most common mistakes you see men make with their fashion/style choices? And what do you think is the easiest thing men can do to improve? So this is targeted to our listeners who may not know as much about fashion or style, or it feels very intimidating. But yeah, what are your thoughts on all of this?
I mean, quite honestly, I think the number one mistake that I see men make, or just the biggest issue, is just that a lot of men, tend to get stuck in ruts, right? Where they basically like they find something that's comfortable for them, and they don't like to veer outside of that bubble. And it's fine. You should feel comfortable in your clothes. You should feel, you should wear things that make you feel like yourself and make you feel confident. But that doesn't mean you should sequester yourself into this little corner of the fashion world and say that I'm only going to wear these pants that I've owned for like 10 or 15 years and only these shirts because like that's all I know, and I don't want to try anything new or outside of that. I think there's a way to have fun with your style and open yourself up a little bit more and really figure out and use it as a way to express yourself and a way to make yourself feel even more like you than you already do in some ways, right? I think like there's just this level of timidness that you see with a lot of men where you're right, where they feel intimidated by clothes, they feel intimidated by the world of fashion or of style, and they just sort of like clam up a little bit and don't try anything new. So
yeah, there's so much psychology, I think, behind fashion, because I feel like a lot of people treat it like this, like, ooh, like frivolous, like who cares, no one's thinking about this thing. But like what you said, like just picking an outfit that is different than what you wear all the time, is like, it's kind of like daunting to people.
Sure.
It's like it stirs up a lot I and anxiety. It's so interesting why that is,
yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, and I think in general that is a great observation, because I will say that like for most men, like we can be more experimental with our clothes. Like it doesn't have to be entirely like practical and utilitarian, and fashion is supposed to be fun, and it's like another outlet for you to express yourself. But after a certain point, I feel that if your reputation precedes you, then the converse then becomes true. Like, for instance, let's take someone for like Steve Jobs, where
Right.
he was famously known for only wearing the same thing all the time, like just Levi's jeans, some New Balance, and like throw on like a black turtleneck. And he, by definition, is someone who isn't really experimenting. He's just doing the same thing
Right.
over and over again. But then, like, because he's Steve Jobs, then suddenly in the fashion zeitgeist, it becomes like, oh, iconic status. Like, you're a style god for sticking to your guns.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I think, like, in the case of Steve Jobs, you know, first of all, like, that's just a good fit, you know? Like in some ways, like he picked three very iconic things that will never go out of style, like, a clean black turtleneck, Levi's jeans, always cool, and, like, New Balance sneakers.
Yeah.
Like, very comfortable, very practical, very cool, and that works for him. Yeah, I don't even necessarily think that like what I'm saying is to like oh, you should be constantly trying new things, you should constantly be putting yourself out there. I think it's just that, like, a lot of men haven't even taken that first step to figuring out who they are style wise, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like they've just have this like these crumpled button downs or whatever, like these old t-shirts that they've had since college, and you know, and these sort of like these like kind of frumpy khakis, and then they're like, oh, I'm not a fashion person, so this is all that I know how to wear, and this is what I'm going to continue wearing, and I never want to shop for clothes because it's intimidating and it's scary and it makes me feel bad. They haven't gone that step to even get to that Steve Jobs level where they find out, oh, this is who I am style wise, this is what I want to project to the world, and I'm going to just keep doing that. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Because Steve Jobs, that was a intentional. He, like you said, he
That's
found
right.
something, and he like took the steps to find something, and then he stuck with that. But like, a lot of people, it sounds like what you're saying is like they don't even want to venture into that. They're just
For
like,
sure.
here's the pants.
yeah, I think intention is like the perfect word for that. Yeah.
I got my Allbirds, and I'm good to go forever.
Right. Or
and
they,
there is
you know,
so much
Oh, sorry. Or worse, like, you know, they subscribe to a uniform out of like some sort of out of, you know, feeling like a follower rather than being a leader in the way that Steve Jobs might have, in the way that he innovated with his clothing. Like it's like you know, you just saying Allbirds makes me think of like, yeah, how often are you on the subway and you see like 7 finance bros wearing the same like Patagonia vest with their company's logo on it and like a pair of Allbirds because they just want to fit in. It's like out of conformity rather than out of some sense of personal expression, right? So
yeah, there's so much psychology, like there's so much fear in it, embedded in it, and I think like what you were saying, like the big issue is like just letting that fear take over, you know. And just I feel like especially with men, it's like if you try with fashion, there's like people are gonna be like, oh, what are you doing, you know, like there's like a lot of
some
shame
fear of,
and like
Yeah, I would say nowadays I've definitely muted my style and my adventurousness with my fashion because, you know, when I was younger, I was more experimental and I liked being a bit louder and like making a statement, and I followed trends more closely then. But one thing I've noticed is when I look back on all my old photos, it just makes me cringe so much.
Right.
When I was like following trends so close, I'm like, oh, this aged terribly.
It looks dated, or it looks like of that era. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
have
you like experienced that with your own like style? I guess your quote unquote like style sensibility or like journey.
Oh, for sure.
It sounds like you like to play around.
I do like to play around. I do like to experiment a little bit. Like I think like, but like yeah, like anybody, I look back on old photos and I'm like, what am I doing back then, right? But like I think that's natural and it's like kind of fun, you know. That some things can look so of their era, like, you know, like. Wouldn't it be less fun, like when you look at old photos of your parents, for instance, you know, and you find those cool photos and like it's the 60s and they're wearing like those thick 60s glasses and these like really cool pants or whatever it is, like wouldn't it be like way more boring if like every single decade people just dressed like in the same simple clothes that were always in style, you know? Like I think that's kind of part of the fun in some ways, right? But I think I hear you what you're saying in terms of like toning down your style as you get older, and I think that's perfectly natural and perfectly cool. Like I said, it's like whatever works for you, whatever's going to make you feel the most comfortable and confident. And if that means like toning things down a little bit, taking a step back, wearing some more, you know, basics and essentials, like then that's great. Like that totally works. Yeah.
Wow.
Ryan, you're finding your Steve Jobs look.
That's right. Yeah, you're settling into your
Steve Jobs era.
I'm on the cusp of nirvana here, but to what Yang just said, maybe my kids one day will look back on 20-year-old me who went to lots of EDM raves and loved Steve Aoki, just wearing my like fucking like oversized Crystal Castles t-shirt with like a neon headband over my Justin Bieber haircut. They'd be like, yeah, that was sick, Dad.
Well, yeah, or even if they don't think it's sick, at least they'll think it's funny too, and like that's more interesting. You know, it's more interesting to be funny than to just be wearing something plain. So.
Yeah.
I have to say, your parents' old pictures always look good, but my old pictures always like. I've never seen like a bad fashion thing that my parents were wearing. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Youngmi. You're pretty experimental. Like, did you have any phases where you look back and you're like, what was I fucking thinking?
No, because I feel like I just like, I don't know. I think maybe I have like so much body dysmorphia that I can't even see my outfit. I'm just like, my face looks stupid or something. And also I don't think I really dressed that. I dressed very muted throughout my 20s. I think now I'm like hitting this rebirth of just wearing whatever the hell I want. And I think I dress like kind of ironically. I think part of it is it's like supposed to be stupid. So it's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like if somebody was like, "You look stupid," I'm like, "I know. That's what I'm doing. That's my thing." You know? I don't know.
You don't look stupid. Just for the record, neither of you do. You both look great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. But Youngmi, you just brought up how usually when we look at old photos of our parents, they don't really. It doesn't really come off the same way. It's like they always look cool.
They always look cool. I think.
Yeah, and. I think we should take a moment and discuss some underrated fashion icons. And for this specific episode, I think we should discuss Asian dads. I just want to go on the record and say very underrated fashion icons are Asian dads. Okay? So, I have old photos of my dad. He always looks sharp in his suit, timeless, looks great. My dad's a little bit older now, and I think with most, a lot of elderly Asians, they sort of get really into outdoor gear. Lots of
they love it.
rain jackets and like hiking boots. Right now, that's very of the moment.
It's extremely in right now, yeah.
Extremely in right now. And I think we got to take a moment and give a shout out to all the elderly Asians because they're the early adopters.
They called it.
For sure.
They called it.
No, absolutely. I think in general, like if you want to find out what people are going to be wearing like 3 to 4 years from now, just walk around Chinatown and look at any elderly Asian person, male or female or otherwise, like older Asian people just have it, right? And it's like they're dressing from it's like I would assume that a lot of them are dressing from a place of practicality, like these are just the clothes that I have right now and I'm going to put them on and like go about my day and like go to the market or go run these errands or whatever it is. But like it looks like such it has that sense of cool just self-expression, right? Like it's all these weird layers that shouldn't go together or work together, and it all just kind of works. And man, like you can learn so much from watching older Asian people.
I feel like it's like the first rule of fashion. They just like don't give a fuck, and they're
That's right. It's effortless.
It always looks fucking good.
It's completely effortless. It looks like there was no thought put into it, and like that makes it so fucking cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's so funny.
That's so true. But the fact that I know this now means that I'm like too conscious, so it inherently makes it uncool. If I'm like studying, and that's antithetical to what we just to the elderly Asian mindset of I'm going practicality first. I don't give a fuck. This is comfortable.
I mean, I think there's a reason. Like it'll take you until you're in your 50s or 60s to get there. You know what I mean? Like, you need to have lived. You have to have lived a real life to get to that level of like no fucks given, right? So
I agree.
Yeah. You have to have immigrated to a new country.
That's right. Experience some real hardship,
intergenerational trauma to reach that nirvana.
You can't fake that.
You can't fake that.
Wait, I want to ask one. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Youngmi, go on.
Oh, this is kind of like like it was kind of more about the psychology. I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
because just like I know a lot of times this happens, like if you are like a straight woman and you start dating a straight man and then you try to like dress them. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
yeah. I don't love that. Like, I think, well, you know what? I don't think it's bad for for your partner to have an interest in you looking your best and wanting to encourage you to look your best. I think like any one person prescribing another person like this is what you should be wearing right now is maybe like there's like something problematic about that. Like I think like it's fine to help someone on their like, you know, individual style journey and like encourage them towards figuring out what works for them. But like the idea of like someone's partner just buying them their wardrobe and saying this is what you're going to be wearing from now on seems like kind of an issue to me, or just not that fun.
Because the reason why I ask is because I feel like a lot of times I have been in relationships with like men. There is this period where they're kind of like, oh, like, can you help me? Like, and it kind of reminded me of what you were saying. Like, a lot of people are too like scared, or they can't really do it on their own. And so I think a lot of like men do ask that when they're in relationships, or there's something like that, where, you know, which is very different than me being like, wear this now.
Right. I think asking for help is totally cool and totally great. I mean, I would think of what I do and what my team does at GQ recommends, which is like our platform at GQ that offers up that kind of advice and those styling tips and like, you know, trend reports and all that kind of stuff. Like that's what we're there for too, right? We're there to offer a helping hand and to like show you what the possibilities are. And then from there, it's like kind of up to you to decide whether you're willing to try something or whether, you know, it feels right for you or whatever the case might be. So.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, I think like the magazine is, do you think that that's like a big role of like that they play in society, I guess? Like,
yeah, definitely. I think it's our job to basically show you what's out there, right? Like, here's what's happening in fashion. Here's what people are wearing. Here's what we think is cool. Here's how to pull it off and how to do it and where to find it. And then the rest is up to you, right, to make it your own. So,
yeah.
So in the coming year in 2022, what do you think is going to pop off? What is going to become big amongst the masses?
Oh, man. You know, I actually did like a little 2022 trend report a couple of weeks ago. But you know, when I do those things, it so quickly devolves into just like, what am I feeling? What am I wearing right now? And like, what do I think is cool? I've been wearing a lot of vests lately, whether that's like sweater vests or like cardigan vests, things without sleeves, like over t-shirts, over button downs. Like I'm kind of feeling that vibe right now. I'm really into like actually what I'm wearing right now, which is like sort of long sleeve polos that have like a full placket that goes down to the bottom. Like I think that's kind of fun and cool. And feels nice. Like it just like it's like a cool look that I've been enjoying. It's like a very simple thing to throw on and you know, I feel good and confident in it. I think
college professor aesthetic is on the come up.
I would say so, or at least in this household, yeah. You know, I think men in jewelry has been like a big cool thing that's been happening over the last couple of years. You've been seeing guys like going beyond just wearing like a simple like gold or silver chain and like moving into you know, dudes wearing pearls and dudes experimenting with different styles of rings and earrings, and that's been such a cool, heartening thing to see. And I think like that's gonna only grow even bigger this year. And I think like both like literally and figuratively, because I think like thick chains and thick jewelry is going to be a big thing for dudes this year. That's something that I'm personally feeling a lot right now. So yeah, there's a lot happening in men's fashion all the time.
Brian is like furiously writing all this down.
This is
tomorrow he's going to be.
This is the most I've ever paid attention in years. I took an Adderall for this episode.
He's going to show up tomorrow wearing all of those things.
Would you even go so far as to say, like, because fashion's pretty cyclical. I think you know, I've realized with age that, I mean, it's like it's turning in on itself at this point, because I see on TikTok now they're like, we're in the early like 2010s. I'm like, what? That was like yesterday. Where do we go from here? Like, that's too recent, you know? I thought we were just doing the whole 80s shit. So puka shell necklaces are going to come back soon, is what we're going to predict.
There definitely already are like Gen Zs wearing puka shell necklaces. Like, it's a thing. Yeah.
Oh damn! So I'm late to the game. I'm being...
Well, no, they're early. You're not late. They're early. Yeah.
And then skinny jeans are coming back.
Eventually, they will. I think they're still a few years off. Like, I think the skinny jean era lasted a lot longer than anyone anticipated, and therefore it's going to be a while before they're fully back in. But yeah. I mean, again, like trends, all that kind of stuff. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's like whatever you think looks good on your body, and like whatever makes you feel the best is like what's cool, right? So I don't think Lenny Kravitz has ever given up on skinny jeans, and he was wearing them long before everyone else, and he never will stop wearing them, and I wouldn't want him to. Like, it wouldn't feel like Lenny if he was suddenly, you know, out here in like some
Carhartt wide leg pants.
Bootleg jeans. Oh, he does. I feel like he does. Lenny Kravitz has had some. He's had some fashion moments. Is all I'm gonna say.
Absolutely, he's an icon.
He's
a fashion icon. Yeah, but I will say that the skinny jean era was not kind to my body, because
not mine either.
A good 2-3 years where I was just doing so much damage.
Oh yeah, there's too much power in these thighs for skinny jeans. I was like,
I would read these forums and they're like, you're supposed to size down 4 sizes because they stretch out. And meanwhile, like, my genitals are just getting mangled.
Yeah, I had that exact problem for a very long time, but it took me a long time to realize that skinny jeans weren't for me, and that because I had it doubly worse, because I was an emo kid, and I was really into fashion, so like I was like, I really need to be wearing tight pants, and it was not the look for me. It just did not work for my body. Yeah.
Wow, so many layers, Young. So you were an emo rugby player.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Into fashion. Wow.
Wow, so many layers. Youngmi, I think it's time to do our next segment.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I'm ready. I'm gonna share. Well, let's see if I can. Okay, let me do this first. Let me share my screen. So the next segment, everyone, if you're listening to the podcast, you might want to pop over to YouTube, because I'm going to do this segment. I'm going to call it Young Rate My Son's Drip. My son is 7 years old.
Amazing.
He's very fashion forward.
The young fashion god.
A young
I'd love to see it.
Honest with you, I do not dress him. His dad dresses him, so I don't really even know the stuff that he wears.
Okay.
Okay. If I can figure out how to share my screen, this will happen. Here we go. This is number 1.
Wow.
This is the most recent one.
That's incredible. Yeah, that puffer jacket is out of this world.
What would you say out of I guess 1 to 10? Oh yeah, I'll describe it. He's wearing a Sandy Liang puffer jacket. It's like the cherry blossom one, I think. And I think those are Oakley's. Khaki.
Like low profile, yeah.
Khaki. What are those? Cargo pants. And
some black Tims.
Black Tims.
Yeah, this is
rating 1. Yeah.
This is tough. This is like pure like downtown New York cool. This is an 11 out of 10 easily.
11 out of 10.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the
gate.
11 out of 10.
I don't think it's going to go any lower than that, though, based on this opening gambit. Like, I feel like, yeah.
Okay, that's a strong... Yeah.
Sorry, is this the cherry blossom puffer that you said Mino, like, he was, like, made fun of for it?
He was made fun. Here, let me show you the tweet, because I put the tweet in. So this is a tweet that went viral. It was like, he wore it to school, and some kid made fun of him. But the funny part is that the kid tried to get everybody to join in, and the other classmates were like, "Why is that funny?"
Yeah, they're like, "No, he looks sick. Like, what's wrong with you?" Obviously, that kid is just jealous, right? Like, there's no other explanation. That kid just doesn't have the confidence or the swagger to pull that off, and so that kid is just extremely lacking.
Well, because Mino told me the story, and I was like, that's so funny. He was like, the other kids just didn't understand what he was talking about.
Yeah. I'd be more like, where did you get that jacket? I need it immediately. So.
Yeah.
I also think it's a really... I find it really heartwarming, though, because it goes to show how like younger kids are so much more inclusive now.
Yeah, that's how far we've
like,
come.
To them, it really isn't that odd. You know, they think the jacket is sick.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
But I can think of when, like, at a time when I was younger, I probably would, like, I wouldn't have the, for one, wouldn't have the confidence to pull off a jacket like this, but two, it wouldn't be that outrageous of a scenario to, like, make fun of a kid who wore, like, a pink puffer like this.
Yeah.
Right. I think it depends on where you grow up, but I think, like, growing up in New York City, like, you're exposed to so much cool stuff, and, like, that's how you end up with a 7-year-old dressing as well as he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But good for those
right
kids. I think they're called Generation Alpha, I think. Somebody told me. Okay, this is the
name.
second one. I thought it was funny. This is his face.
I love this.
This one is at the airport.
Oh, wow.
Airport drip.
Yeah. You know, there's a long, like, history of great airport style. And this is really right up there. This is awesome. I'm loving, first of all, hold on, I need to zoom in a little bit here so I can see better. But I'm loving the length of his hair, first of all. That jumps out to me immediately. So it's a dope mullet. You know where they love mullets, weirdly, is Spain.
Oh my god!
Good style.
Wait. He's wearing pearls and a vest in this picture.
There you go. See, he's right on. Yeah.
And a vest.
He's speaking my language. Yeah, this is like this has to be like a 14 out of 10. Like just everything about this is perfect. Yeah, I'm loving this look. I'm gonna go out and copy this look tomorrow probably. Those orange pants are so sick. That like fishing vest is amazing. Yeah, the New Balance. And then is that like a plaid jacket or shirt that he's wearing underneath too?
Yes, it's like a flannel coat or something.
Wow, yeah.
Flannel coat and camel
it's next level.
Young, what is it about airports that serves as a place to highlight? Because I know what you mean.
Yeah,
certain celebrities being captured in iconic fits like at the airport, but what is it about it?
I don't know. I think it's like, you know, you have this feeling of you're going somewhere, right? And also it's like this mix of like the excitement of going somewhere. You want to land in this new place with like a lot of new possibilities, like looking and feeling your best. But also it like there's this element of practicality that comes into play because it's like, oh, maybe I don't want to pack this heavy jacket or this heavy sweater, so I'm going to wear it on my body. Sure. And like that's like a really great mix of energies that results in some next level fits that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mino,
it's like that layering.
Oh my gosh! Wow, this one is incredible too. I don't know if you guys even actually know this about me. I'm a big proponent of the male crop top.
Nice, me too.
I did like a week-long experiment wearing them for GQ last year. That was kind of crazy, but fun to do.
Wow.
And
did you get a lot of comments when you rocked the crop top last year?
In person, not as many as you would think. I was like walking around outdoors and like, you know, people would like look or whatever, but like I didn't get a like or some people would be like, hey, that looks great, but like not as many comments as you would think. I think because again, like we live in New York, like people are just used to seeing people wearing whatever they want. But on when it went on GQ's Instagram, it did pop off in the comment section a little bit. It was kind of nuts, but mostly positive. So it was fun. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. Oh wow, this
I have
one.
to say, oh sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say the crop top I think is so attractive. That's like, you know, like I know that there's like so many conversations about the male gaze versus the female gaze, and like I feel like most people who are attracted to men or women, we're big into the crop top. If you're a man and wearing a crop top,
that definitely shows a level of like comfort with your body and like confidence that like is like, you know, inherently sexy, right?
Yeah, that belly coming out is hot.
Yeah.
This is sorry, I don't know if you can see. This is an example of how I dress him. I just threw this in here because of the Korean H Mart leggings.
I think that looks great too. Yeah, I love like the fact that he's wearing these like, you know, these bit loafers with this like super casual look. That's like something that I do all the time. Like I'll just like throw on sweats and some jeans and then have these like kind of fancy shoes to offset it all. And so I think that like kind of high-low mix is like really working for him here. It looks great. Plus, you know, is that a hot dog that he's eating as well, or is that?
No, that's a donut.
Donut. Great.
Same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. You know, like I think there's this sort of famous Timothy Chalamet red carpet look where he just has like a little Eiffel Tower keychain dangling from his finger, and like that brought like an otherwise sort of like boring red carpet look to like this whole other level. And I think that the donut and green truck are really doing a lot of work here to like make this like, you know, to like sort of expand your mind. Yeah.
Damn, Mino is a fashion icon.
He really is. Yeah, no.
Yeah, the truck is an accessory. It's not a toy. It's an accessory.
Oh, no, it's an accessory.
Like
yes,
how
that's
Timothy
correct.
Chalamet
Yeah.
was holding
That's
that.
intentional. That's like
look here.
Yeah, that's some god tier style right there.
Wait, I don't know how much time we have. Do you want to do like one more?
Let's
I
do
guess-
one more.
Can you see this one?
Yeah, that's
Can
cool.
you see? Okay.
Oh yeah.
This one's just like I feel like this is his dad. This is 100% Mino's dad. He's putting him in his clothes. The like fashion stuff.
Yeah, that feels like a very quintessential cool New York kid. Like that's the kid that I see on the sidewalk sometimes, and I'm like intimidated by them. Like I'm a little scared at how cool a kid like that is. You know, like I don't know what they're gonna say to me or how they're gonna judge me, or like, you know, like if they're gonna push me around. Like there's so much attitude oozing from this photo that it's like a little bit intimidating. Yeah.
That is very
He's
funny.
holding a little truck. You can't see it as an accessory.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there you go again. Yeah, just like he knows. Yeah, he knows how to accessorize with flair.
All right, that was it. I'm gonna go back to saying how Mino, like whenever if he's holding a toy in public, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's a fashion accessory. That's not his. He's not playing with that.
That's right. He's not playing around at all.
Youngmi, you pointed out that you and your ex-husband like dress Mino. Is Mino interested in it himself?
No, not at all. 100% doesn't give a shit.
Which is exactly what we were just saying about elderly Asian people. They like give no shits. They're all attitude, and they're just like they don't care what they're wearing, but that's why it looks amazing. I think that's like part of the magic here with Mino as well.
He doesn't give a shit. Well, because my friends, like, they have kids that are the same age, and they're like, oh my god, every time we leave the house, it's like an hour. Like we have to argue for an hour because they have to find their perfect outfit, and they don't want to wear what I want. Like I want to put the 7-year-old in this, and they don't want to wear it. And I'm like, what? Mino has not even one time even noticed. Like I'll just put stuff on him, and he's just like, you know what I mean? It's a vibe.
I love it. All right. I think that's a great way. So for our listeners who are intimidated by fashion, I think it's a great jumping off point for y'all. Just don't care too much, but also just have fun with it. Experiment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it should make you feel like your best self. But we're going to transition into our next part of the podcast where we get to know you a little bit on a more deeper level, Young. And first off, we're going to hit you with, what is something you're loving right now?
I've been really getting into sort of the bootleg tea community. I don't know how much you guys are aware of, like, there's all these people making t-shirts, like bootleg t-shirts for their favorite movies, their favorite bands, their favorite personalities. And they're so sick. Like, you know, it's like, a good person that I would like perfect for this podcast really is, there's a guy named Matthew VU, who's out in the Bay, and he makes these incredible t-shirts that sort of honor Asian icons and Asian American icons. Like he made this t-shirt for like Jin, the rapper, that I think is really cool. He made a really dope Linsanity t-shirt recently. He made a John Woo hat that I think is really cool too. So that's something that I've been getting really into. It's like a really dope way to like to show off your taste a little bit and like, you know, and wear what you love. So
wow, I love that.
That sounds
Youngmi,
so cool. Yeah,
a light bulb moment just went off for me. So
what?
Youngmi and I are in the midst of producing some merch for this podcast.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
Maybe we should make some bootleg feeling Asian merch.
Well, someone else has to do that, right? Like otherwise it's not bootleg. It's official, still coming from you. But that's merch in general is really dope, and I'm sure you guys will kill it with your merch designs. I can't wait to see that. Yeah.
What if we
put out a design, but the real heavy hitting merch is the bootleg merch that comes out.
Yeah, that's right. When your fans start making merch on the side, that you do not benefit financially from whatsoever, that's when you know you've made it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let them sell it on our website, and so that they can like make money off it. We'll be like, thank you for making the bootleg merch. Once I made a shirt that just said Harrison Ford on it, and I just wrote the word Harrison Ford
That's
on
so
a
killer.
shirt, and I swear it was my favorite shirt for years. That's
Okay,
funny.
Young. Conversely, what is something you're hating right now?
I just watched the Boba Fett TV show, and it was really terrible. But for some reason I just sat through the whole thing, and it was boring and didn't really go anywhere, and I was not a fan of it whatsoever. So,
Are you a big Star Wars guy?
In general, yeah, I am. I'm a bit of a geek about most things like that. Like I like Star Wars. I'm a big Star Trek person. I grew up reading comic books, so and sometimes just out of like a sheer level of like of commitment, of just feeling like I'm a bit of a completist. I feel the need to see these things through to the end. But this was one I probably could have given up on early. So yeah.
You heard it here first. Don't watch this show.
Yeah.
Wow. I think, but yeah, that's interesting. So so the same thing with books. Even if you hate a book, you're gonna finish it till the end.
Yeah, most likely I will.
Oh,
I
really?
tend to.
Wow.
I'm a bit of a like. I read pretty quickly in general, so I think like I'll just kind of like my way through it and just get it over with. So I know that like definitively I can not recommend it to people or no. Yeah, I just know that it doesn't get better. So.
That's so funny.
I'm like the
'Cause
opposite. Even if I love
yeah.
a book, I'll be like, I'm not gonna read another page of this.
Yeah.
I'm too tired.
Yeah, I'm the opposite too. Like my girlfriend hates this about me, but let's say it's late and we want to watch a movie.
Mhm.
But like if we stay through and finish the whole thing, it's gonna be like 3 a.m. So I'll always be like, do you want to like watch like 20 minutes of this and then go to bed?
Yeah.
It's like you're a fucking like what? Like I don't want to watch started at all if you're gonna be like that.
Right. My girlfriend's
Yeah.
a little bit like that too. It is definitely a point of contention. If we start watching a movie, I want to watch the whole movie, and she's like, it's okay if I fall asleep and you finish watching it. I'm like, no, I want us both to experience the whole thing so we can talk about it. Otherwise, I'll know what happens and you won't, and then it'll be like this weird, like just incompletion. It's terrible. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. That reminds me of a meme that like made me crack up, and it was like you want to show like you're really excited to show someone a movie, and then your friend like gets up to go to the bathroom, and you're like, okay, I'll pause it for you. They're like, no, it's all good. Like keep it going.
Oh, yeah, that's like a dagger to my heart hearing that.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Okay, well that brings us to our next juicy question. So for our listeners, if you want to hear Young's response to this, you're gonna have to subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/feelingasian. And Youngmi and I, we're entrepreneurs. We're business people. We do this on purpose because this is the juicy shit. This is the good shit. So Young, what is something you're ashamed of? Well, Young, this has been so much fun. Thanks for being so open and having fun with us on the podcast and writing some fits. But before we let you go, we like to ask this one last question to all of our guests, and that is, what is something you are proud of?
Yeah, I mean, very quickly, I think there's a couple things that come to mind for me. Like professionally, what I'm most proud of in my job is that I love being able to use the platform that I have at GQ to give smaller brands, especially brands that are owned by Asians or Asian Americans and Canadians, because I'm from there too. Like their GQ moment. Like I love to give small independent labels their first shot at being on GQ and just sort of the reactions that people get that like the nice messages I get, like sort of it's like it really makes it worth it. Like it makes me feel really good that I'm able to sort of like to use it in a positive way. So that's one thing that I'm really proud of. And then the other thing that I'm proud of is like I'm proud of myself and my partner for we have this little notebook that is our joke of the day book, and every day at the end of the day we sit down to like write down something that made us laugh really super hard. And I'm like never been a good person at keeping routines like that or like keeping a diary or anything of that nature. So like we've been doing this now for like 4 or 5 months and it's going great. And I'm really like every time I flip through it, it makes me laugh super hard at some of the things in it. So like, yeah, I'm proud of us for keeping up with that, which has been great. So
Wait, I want to do that.
Oh, that's so nice. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy that. I'm definitely going to
Please
do
do.
that.
Yeah. Spread the joke of the day movement. It's worth it.
Can you read us one? Read us one that, like, one of your favorites.
Absolutely. So,
made me laugh.
let me see. A couple that made me laugh was okay. So the other night we went out for dinner with my cousins, and and we went to this French restaurant in Fort Greene, and the waiter came over and he was like, "Hello, welcome to the restaurant," and he did this whole spiel, and as soon as he walked away, my girlfriend leaned into the whole table and was like, "Okay, guys, do we think he's really French?" And I'm still not sure. Like, he was definitely playing it up a lot. You everything, no matter what you said, you would order, I'm like, "Oh, hey, could I just please get a glass of water?" And he'd be like, "D'accord, d'accord." And I was like, "Whoa, that's really aggressive, my man." And he came around to tell us about the desserts, and he was like, we have a really nice apple tartin tonight, and my cousin was like, "Oh, what's an apple tartin?" And he was like, "It is how you say turnover," and we were like, "No way!" He's maybe he's French, but he definitely was dialing it up to 11 because he knew that you want an authentic French experience at your restaurant. I don't know, it was very bizarre, but we were laughing about that really hard. That was a good one, yeah.
When you were like, I'll have to steak frites, and he was like, "Ooh la la."
Yeah,
like,
no,
on,
literally though,
bro,
he was just a caricature. He was like, "Oh, mais oui, mais oui." It was out of this world. It was kind of obnoxious, but also really, really funny. So
funny.
I loved it. Yeah.
That's
that reminds
so funny.
me of this. There's this video that I saw on TikTok that was so funny, and it was like a snowboarding event or something, and the snowboarder fell down, and then they showed the English what's it called when the correspondent or the person that's talking over it, and the American guy was like, "Oh, and oh my God, he goes down and hits his head. Oh my God," or something like that. And they showed the French one, and it was like, "Ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la."
That's so awesome.
And I was like, "Oh my God, really?"
I love that.
That's really great.
I'm gonna put that in my joke book of the day book.
Yeah, I love that. I love the whole idea, whole concept. I would say Youngmi, would you say the Korean equivalent of dialing it up to 11 is you're enjoying your meal, and then the Korean waiter just silently brings your check before you've even received your entree to tell you to get the fuck out?
I've definitely had that experience too. Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I'm gonna tip extra because this is an authentic Korean experience.
Indeed.
No, you know what the authentic Korean experience is? The Korean ajumma working there doesn't let you cook your meat. She's like, "Stop that!" And she slaps your hand. Just slap it.
Oh, you have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, let me barbecue this for you.
Like, stop that.
Well, God, I love that. The joke notebook. Listeners, you heard it. You all got to do it. Young's onto something great here. But Young, thanks again for joining us on the podcast. And for our listeners, where can they find you and your work online?
Yeah, you can find my writing at gq.com, and you can follow me on Instagram at YoungGo, which is YANGGOH.
Lovely. And what about you, Youngmi?
Oh, you can follow me at YMMayor or Youngmi Mayor on TikTok. How about you, Brian?
You guys can find me online at It's Brian Park, and follow our podcast at Feeling Asian Podcast, and check us out on YouTube, find us on Patreon. You know the deal. But
yeah.
And if you're in the bootleg shirt game,
make us
be ready. Make a bootleg shirt of our podcast, please. And yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
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 All right, it's time for some Patreon shout-outs. Once again, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so at patreon.com/feelingasian. Youngmi, are you tapped into your psychic abilities? I'm
so tapped in. I'm ready.
Okay, first shout-out for this episode goes out to Diana Ho.
Diana has funky glasses, right? Funky glasses, bangs.
Yes.
Diana.
And loves Princess Diana period pieces.
No, because her name.
Yes.
Her namesake.
Because of her name. I am stereotyping her based on her name.
All right.
Well, Diana, thank you for supporting us. Next shout out goes out to, I might be botching this, Aeon Su.
Aeon?
Aeon Su.
Aeon Su. I feel like Aeon Su sounds like somebody that has like a comic book character outfit. Like a cartoon outfit. You know, where they wear one thing all the time. It's like there's Aeon Su wearing that yellow sweater and those pants. You know, like they buy like 10 pieces of the same outfit and they just wear it every day.
Similar, but I was envisioning something different. I think she wears, or they wear, all black all the time, head to toe Issei Miyake, and they're an architect.
Like we are, the strong vibe from this person is that their closet looks very like the same, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The mark of a true genius, a Steve Jobs move.
Can't be bogged down with decisions in the morning.
You got to wear that one outfit and then get to your important job.
Aeon Su, thank you for supporting the podcast. Next shout out goes out to Matthew Yang, and then Matthew wrote in parentheses Korean.
Yang, wow. Is Yang?
Yang.
I don't know.
Matthew Yang.
That's like a pretty not rare, but like not very common Korean name.
But Matthew is the most Korean move. He didn't want to be confused for any other Asian ethnicity, so he specifically made a point to distinguish himself. I am Korean.
It'd be really funny if he wasn't Korean. He just wrote that in. Like
let me just try this on for size. See how it feels to be Korean on this facet of my internet life.
I love that. That's the funniest. That's like the funniest thing. It's like instead of pronouns, he writes Korean.
I'm gonna guess that
what are my pronouns? Korean.
Do you know like that southern, like in SoCal, there's those types of Asians who are really into street cars? Like the souped up neon.
Yep. Yeah.
I think Matthew Young is part of that.
I love that.
Yeah. Thanks, Matthew. Next shout out goes out to Linda Jiang.
Linda, oh my God, I'm getting mom vibes. Linda is a mom.
Oh.
Maybe,
okay, straight up.
I don't
just
know what
a
kind
mom.
of mom. Maybe like a hip 23-year-old mom wearing a spaghetti strap dress, or, you know, just a mom driving a minivan. But I'm getting mom.
Okay. Linda, thanks for being
mom.
you, and thank you for supporting the podcast. And our last shout out for this episode goes to Mickey Kwan.
Oh man, Mickey is such a great name. I love that. Every time, you know, like those names that you love and like they're kind of like uncommon. So every once in a while you'll hear it and you're like, damn, that's a fucking good ass name.
I'm getting chaotic Bushwick vibes.
Yep. I'm getting the small beanie. Yep.
3 a.m.
Mickey.
Post
sounds hot.
Pizza rally.
I need to have some casual sex soon. That's like, sorry, I didn't mean that. That's what Mickey is making me feel. Mickey,
oh my God.
Making me want to be chaotic again.
Making young me want to be
miss the streets.
Be on the streets.
I miss the streets. The streets are calling. Just kidding.
Well, thank you everyone for supporting the podcast. And yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's it for these.